Check it out. Hi guys, EBPMAN here with Tablets for Me. And today we're going to do tips and tricks and configuration suggestions that you should consider to get the maximum use of your Axon 7. So let's check out this video and check out everything you can do to get the best experience. Now the first tip I wanted to give you is how to reconfigure the bottom buttons. These are your navigation buttons that take you home, take you back, and give you the ability to multitask. And the reason I wanted to do that is because some of you may be coming from a Samsung line of phones and the buttons are different. They're actually backwards. So let me show you how you can configure them to meet your existing experience. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into Settings. We're going to scroll down to where it has navigation keys. And then here's the area that you'll need to modify. Let's just zoom in to make sure that you can see that nice and clear. We have the recent apps, home and back. Standard, what you have is the back button is on the opposite side, and then you have your home button and your recent apps. Now, one of the things that I did find and I did appreciate with this is that the way it's been configured is that you have a right-handed experience and a left-handed experience. So I wanted to switch it to the right-handed experience because I am right-handed and have the back key on this side. So these are the two configuration points that you can change. Now, some of you, as you get your phone, may wonder, is there a way that I can illuminate the buttons on the bottom of the for the navigation? Unfortunately, I've not been able to find that there's any illumination capabilities when it comes to the bottom, so that's kind of a bummer. The other thing is that the buttons may seem to be a little bit too close, and so at times you may be pressing the right button, but over time I think you'll get used to it. Now the next thing we're going to focus on is how do you create a customized experience to when you're using the phone. This area is really going to focus on gestures. It's going to focus on personalizing it to function the way you want. To do this, we're going to go into the settings area again. And in settings, we're going to go into customize features. Now there's several features that we're going to work with, but first thing I'm going to do is focus on gestures and motion. So let's go into gestures and motions first. Here what you can do is set several things. One, to double tap the screen to turn on the phone if it's asleep. So that would literally just be a knock knock and then it would turn on. That is something that you would be able to enable. And here it's giving you an illustration of what it is. And the nice thing about this is that it gives you the ability to also try it. So you can tap twice and you'll see what or how this feature works. So that's a really neat feature so that you can experiment with it. The other thing that I would look at is three finger pinch for a screenshot. All right, so let's take a look at how that works. So literally all you do is you put 3 fingers on there and then you move them inwards like this to take a screenshot. So all you do is bring it like this and you can do that. So that's a neat way instead of pressing the power button and the home button, because sometimes it may be difficult to find. Now on the motion side, these are the features that I really like the most. Auto call. So let's look at what auto call does. So auto call is going to give you the ability to take, if you're looking at a chat message and you want to call someone, instead of having to click on a call button or trying to find the contact, all you do is you bring the phone to your face and it's automatically going to call that person. Auto answer is another feature. When you see an incoming call, if you bring it to your face, it will also answer the phone. And then this is another one of my favorites here, which is flipping the phone over to mute. So you're speaking with someone and you're being interrupted, and the natural, I would say, kind of gesture or what we would do automatically is trying to cover the phone with our hand or put it down. So by putting it face down, you're going to be able to mute it. You do have a snooze and stop alarm feature, so you can flip it to stop it or tap it to snooze, which I like, but could be dangerous because you could fall asleep and not turn it on again. And what you have also here is this change to the receiver. You could put your phone next to your ear and change it from speaker to the receiver when you're on a call. So that means you get a call, you may have it on speakerphone, but then when you bring it to your ear, you don't want it to keep on speakerphone. So that will switch automatically. That's a feature that I like, and actually I'm going to enable that one. Shake it to turn on the flashlight. Love, love, love this one, but you got to really be careful because if you shake your phone a lot, the flashlight's going to turn on. But once again, with this feature, all you're going to do is just shake your phone left and right, and it's going to turn on the flashlight. Now keep in mind that I'm going to show you in a couple of seconds where you can find the toggle to enable the flashlight as well. But for me, from a gesture perspective, these are some of the gestures that I thought that you'd benefit from in customizing your phone. Now the next thing I wanted to show you is themes and wallpapers. The neat thing is about this phone is that it comes with the stock Android theme. So I have my stock Android theme here, and that's the one that came with pre-selected. Now over here, what you have is the classic theme that comes from ZTE. So you could choose either or. I prefer that one, but I'm sure there'll be more themes available. But for now, these are the two that are on your phone, and I'm I have my Android theme. Now, in addition to that, you do have the ability to choose wallpapers, and you can choose what is going to be your lock screen wallpaper as well as your navigational wallpaper as you see that on the screen. Now, another feature that I find useful, and this particularly comes in handy for someone that may not be familiar with smartphones or may have small hands, and that's the My Pop. With the My Pop feature, what you're able to do is to program a button that shows up on the screen, and we're going to turn this on so you can see it. You can see that right here, that will function as a back key. You can also make that turn into a home key. So what you do is once you enable that and you tap it, it's going to go back. So you wouldn't have to tap the button on the bottom, you would just use that button right there. This is something that you can turn on if it's important to you and you'd like to use that feature. Now the next feature I wanted to show you for customization is the My Voice. And the My Voice has a lot of features. You can use your voice to unlock it, and it does take a voice print. If you use like a passphrase or word that says "my voice is my password," for example, or something like that, the other person who picks up your phone, if they try to speak and use your voice password, it's not going to work. So it's a pretty cool feature. You can enable music playing using your voice. You can use a keyword for photo capture or auto call. You also, and this is an area that I really like, is when you are getting phone calls, you can enable things like voice control to say answer or decline, or reply with a text message. So you could get either the voice control only or the caller ID. So this is going to indicate who's calling, and it's going to tell you and give you the ability to do a couple things. I like that, having that built in. There's actually software that in some cases and with other phones that you need to install with headphones that gives you this capability. But having that built in is a nice feature. Now, another thing that you can do is enable a hotkey to enable the My Voice system. This is very similar to the OK Google type scenario. So if you tap this, you can actually program your back button wherever you have it configured, if you have it over here or over here, to wake up My Voice so you can give voice commands. Now the next thing that I use very frequently, and it used to be a pain many years ago when fingerprinting technology was very new, but now it's very fast and convenient. I used to actually use either the pin or the gesture, the pattern drawing for unlocking my phones, and now I use fingerprints. And the one thing about when you're using fingerprints, it really comes down to how you register your fingerprint. Some registration processes are pretty simple, but the challenge is that we never hold our phones the same way. So if you're always doing your registration, putting your finger like this, what ends up happening is it could just take a sample of this area. So what I like doing is like rotating and taking the fingerprint in multiple directions so that I have a better sample and better accuracy. By doing this with all my phones that have fingerprint lock features, it makes it so much easier and much more accurate. So what we're going to do is we're going to enable fingerprint capabilities, but in order to do that, we need a backup. The backup is by either selecting a pattern or a pin. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a pin number first as my backup, and then we'll go through the registration process. Now once you put in your pin, the next step is to register a fingerprint. So notice it's going to give you an indication of what to do and how there will be some type of feedback. So we're going to flip this over, and I'm going to put my finger here. And I did get some feedback on this side. You can see it. You feel it too, so it's a vibration. Now, I don't want to continue to press it the same way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate the phone so I can get a sampling every single way that I possibly can. Upside down, doing it this way, every possible way you can. Now once you've completed the fingerprint registration, and I've again rotated the phone multiple times, you just hit OK. And now what you could do is lock or unlock the phone really easily. Now, one of the things I do is I always register more than one finger so that you have a backup. And I also use both hands because sometimes I have my phone on my left hand even though I'm not a lefty. So I would recommend that you continue to register as many fingers as you can, and we'll go into this area here. And one of the things I would always recommend is that you rename the finger. So you can call it index finger right hand, index finger left hand, so that if you have a problem with the registration or one finger doesn't recognize, you know which one to replace. So now how fast does the fingerprint reader work? Let's try that. So what I'm going to do is there it went. All I did is I tapped the back, touched it, and it immediately locked. Let's open. Let's try this again. You're going to see me do it one more time. Right there, and there it's on. So very fast, and just to show you it by just powering up. So my phone is locked. I'm going to put my finger there, and now it unlocked. So really, really fast, very convenient, and I highly recommend that you lock your phone anytime you're not using it, because most of us are putting personal information on our phones nowadays, and you want to make sure that your phone is secure. Now, there's some other cool features that you can enable when using your fingerprint. You could use your fingerprint to take a photo. You can use your fingerprint to answer a call. So this is going to be a much faster way. So if your phone is ringing, you don't have to go through the process of unlocking it and then swiping to answer. You can do it on one swoop. Now, one other tip I wanted to give you is we've been going through several tips and things that you can configure, and maybe at one point or another you're not going to remember where the configuration was. What you could do is click on this magnifying glass and type in a keyword of something that you're looking for. So as I'm typing fingerprint, notice how this comes up automatically. So what you could do is use that search feature to actually find capabilities that you've misplaced or just don't know where they are. Now, the other area I wanted to focus on is on the device area. So here there's a couple of things that you may want to consider enabling or disabling. So first of all, you can determine your sleep pattern. So, and this is not sleeping as a person, but when does your phone screen turn off? So you can set 15 seconds all the way up to never and configure it so that it's not frustrating you as it turns off. You can set your brightness level and set it up to automatic, and you can access that here in the menu as well on the top. You also can enable auto rotation as you rotate your phone. One of the things I always enable is battery percentage, so you want to see the percentage of your battery. You can enable breathing light. So we can go in here, and this is going to say as it's charging, it'll just kind of breathe. Little battery indicator, new event. So as the LEDs turn on, you can configure that. A holster mode, right? So this is as you put this in, this will enable or show kind of like a pedometer type feature, which is a lot of folks are into fitness nowadays. Font size. So depending on what you're looking to do, I always raise the font size as I do these videos, but you may want to have a larger font size depending on your vision, if you're whatever your situation may be. So here you can configure that as well. So I like modifying that. And then what you have is the ability to cast your screen and also look at different screen effects. So what you could do is determine, what's the color saturation or how vivid. Some people like more of a natural color, which kind of makes it a little bit more duller. You may want it more colorful, or you may want it even brighter or with more saturation. I'll choose the gorgeous side because I like the gorgeous one. You can change your temperature, and you'll see that some of the changes happen up here as you make those changes, but it's going to affect the way your pictures look and everything. So we're going to go back, and then the last thing here I wanted to show you is casting. Now, if you have like a Google stick, now the last thing in this area I wanted to highlight is the casting ability. So casting is going to give you the ability to share your screen with another device. So for example, I have a Chrome stick in the house, and here's my Chrome Go. It's connected. It knows it's connected to my Wi-Fi, and I can actually cast my screen to it. This is great when you want to share videos, a movie, or anything online. Now, sounds and vibration, this is another area that you may be considering. Not only does it allow you to configure ringtones notifications, but one thing I found unique and I appreciate is that alarm volume is separate. So I could have all these turned off, but then my volume high, which is really important to me because I'm sure I'm like many people out there that use our phones as an alarm clock to wake you up or just to remind you about certain things. You do have your vibrate mode, ring mode, or mute mode if you'd like to disable that. You can determine what's going to happen. You can vibrate when a ring comes in. You do have do not disturb, and I love the do not disturb feature. And the do not disturb feature, you can set exceptions. So let's zoom in here for a second, make sure you can see this. So here what you're seeing is the do not disturb mode. I can enable it. I can set the dates and times, and here on the bottom I can determine which individuals, notifications, or calls would I make an exception to. So let's say you set the phone to silent. You don't want to be disturbed because you're sleeping, but you would take a call from your father, from your mother, from your children. You could set that as an exception to the rule from your job or your employer. So you can get peace of mind, but at the same time have the ability to get those calls that are important to you. Love this feature, highly recommend. Now this area has a couple things that you may want to consider to configure. We're going to skip ringtones because that's pretty straightforward, but here you can determine also other sounds. The headphones, you can enable, disable dial tones, screen locking sounds, touch sounds, silent boot, so if you have to reboot your phone you can make sure that it stays quiet, and then also the ringtones will fade in nicely. I like this feature as well when I'm getting a call. Now, a couple other features here that I'll highlight. Storage is a pretty important one for many of us because it's going to tell us how much memory you have or capacity, storage capacity you have on your phone, and potentially what's using it. So you can see how much I've used up and how much I have free, and then also it's going to tell you what's using it. Now, over here, there's a feature that I think every smartphone should have, and that is the ability to auto start your phone, scheduled reboots. I like the fact that you can say what time I want the phone to turn on and what time I want the phone to power off. So the reason why you'd want to do this is I know many people that kind of reboot their phone on a daily basis to make sure that they're starting out with a fresh experience. Keep in mind, your phone is a computer, and you do know that either having a Mac or Windows desktop, or laptop, any type of Windows device, after time, you want to clear out the memory and you want to restart. So you can actually schedule this to happen every day or during certain times of the week, and when you want the auto off and auto on. Great features that you have the best experience, the fastest experience with every use. Now, one of the things that I use really often, and we're going to talk about connected PC just for a second, is what happens when you connect your phone to your computer or your Mac. How do you want it to work? Do you want it to charge, or do you want it to be able to move photos or copy? So all these features are important, and they do pop up when you're actually using them. But now tap and pay is another great feature. I use my phones for payments. I use Android Pay a lot, Samsung Pay and Apple Pay, and you could use Android Pay with this phone without a problem. And I have to emphasize that the Android Pay solution is a very secure solution the way it's been implemented, and would highly recommend to enable that and use it. Now, the other thing I wanted to show you is some of the security features that you may want to consider to enable. So we'll go into security, and under security, the PIN number to screen lock, and you have some choices here that you can use. So you could go ahead and change that, but we'll go ahead and cancel that because I've already enabled it. You saw that when I was doing my registration for the fingerprint. So you can use your fingerprint or your PIN to unlock. And actually, for whatever reason your finger is wet and you can't unlock the phone, you could use the PIN number to do that. Pull down status bar on the screen, you can leave that enabled. But then this is the other feature. Within how many seconds do you want the phone to lock itself? Immediately when you turn it off, or would you like to have all these different parameters? I like to have my phone locked as soon as I press the button, so I typically go with immediate, but it's your choice what you like to do there. Now, you do have some other features here which are pretty standard, so I won't go into many of these since you see these on all your other devices. And pretty much the security features that I like setting up is using also a feature here called Smart Lock. So I'm going to go ahead and unlock it so I can show you. So the neat thing about Smart Lock is you saw that I talked about I like locking my phone immediately. Well, there's certain conditions that you can disable your lock mechanism automatically. For example, you're in your car and you have your phone used as a GPS. Well, when you're in your car, you may want to keep your phone unlocked, and you can do that by it recognizing your Bluetooth. So you can see that description right here. Or if you're at your home Wi-Fi. So it gives you the ability to choose multiple things. You can set up trusted devices. So if you have a smartwatch like I do, you can go with having that. As long as your smartwatch is tethered to your phone, it'll be unlocked. If you're at your home, you can do that. If you set it up to have facial recognition, you can have a trusted face and it sees you, it will allow it. A trusted voice, or your on-body detection. So it's going to look at various things. Your height, there's various parameters that you can use to determine if it should stay unlocked. So when you take it out of your pocket, it will be unlocked. Again, my favorite is trusted devices. That seems to work the best for me. So if I have a headphone and I'm on a run, as soon as I take my phone out, because it's connected to my headphone, my trusted device, it's going to be unlocked. So great feature for those of you who like security but the convenience of having your phone unlocked. So the last feature I would recommend that you configure is the printing function. So we're going to go into this area here, it's under system. And since most of us are using our phones now as the go-to device, some people are not even buying tablets anymore, you may find yourself printing quite often from your phone. To do that, if you have an HP printer, Canon printer, any type of Epson printer, you'll have to go into Add Services and find the service that you're looking for. So you'll notice that each one of these is located or listed by brand. I have an HP in the house, so I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to install it. What will happen is once this installs, when I would like to print from my phone, PDFs, websites, coupons, whatever it may be, the phone itself, because now it has this add-on, will automatically connect to my printer and allow me to print. So this is how you get your phone enabled for printing. So now that we've gone through several configurations that you can use to personalize, let's talk about some other areas or tips that you can leverage in order to maximize the efficiency of using your phone. So one of the things I always love using are toggles. And so you'll notice that with one single swipe, let's go back to that. With a single swipe, you're going to get toggles that appear here. These are kind of your main ones. You see that the network that I'm connected to, if you have two SIM cards in, you'd see the SIM cards displayed here, and you can toggle between each one. And also, just the display, and if your GPS or your location services are on. But what if you're looking for other services? So what you do is you come down once and you come down a second time to get the full tray of features. Now the other thing that you can do is modify the order of these items. So let's say, for example, and we'll go back to that, you can see I'd like to be able to enable my flashlight. My flashlight function is here. I don't really care about the GPS being there, so I'm going to choose this, and then what I could do is I can drag it up here to the top, and now I have the flashlight there. Matter of fact, I'm going to move it over to this side, and when I hit OK, the next time I use this screen, you'll notice here my flashlight is immediately available. Remember, you could shake to enable the flashlight, or you can have this little feature here to turn on the light, just as I did, and configure the toggle area. There's a lot of toggles that you can use here. So you can have also the ability to control the power. So you can have ultra power saving mode. So this is going to be used if you want to be able to shut down all the data services, minimize the use of the phone, and extend the battery. So you have that ultra power savings mode there. You have smart power, which is again going to be looking at things efficiently, keeping your battery life, and only using those features that you need at the time you need. So it's going to be, I don't want to say slower, but it's going to be more efficient when it comes to using your phone. So I have smart power on, which is very different from ultra power saving. Everything works without any problems. Again, all these toggles are self-explanatory. They're things that you've seen and that you've used with other phones. But one thing I wanted to highlight is NFC. With NFC, this is a cool feature because this not only is going to allow you to use Android Pay, but if you have to share a photo with someone or you want to share a file, by having NFC enabled, when you do the Android Beam, you'll be able to share files back and forth. Now, another feature I just want to show you, and this is some basic Android features. So I left these for the very last. I wanted to give you guys all the, I think, more advanced features that you can use, more the convenience features. And for those of you who may be new to Android or trying to figure out Android 6.01, I now want to show you some of the things that you can do that's going to speed up how you use your phone. So the first thing I wanted to show you is how to work with widgets. So now widgets are little shortcuts, and every application that you install has a widget. These widgets, as you can see as I'm scrolling through them, give you the ability to have access to things that are available in your program that you've installed, but are going to make it even faster to get there. So for example, if I wanted to be able to rather quickly get into, let's say, we'll do this guy right here, Sheets. All I have to do is grab this and then drag it onto the screen wherever I want it, and we'll move it over here. And once I let go, now that feature, the new spreadsheet function, is available. So that's a widget. When I tap on it, it's going to open up a sheet. Now another example of a widget that you can drop on your desktop is the driving one, which is available. So this, when you're going to use your phone and you're in the car and you're in driving mode, you just tap it, launches Google Maps, and it turns your phone into a GPS, which is a convenient widget to have on the screen. Now, as you saw on this screen, there's very few icons on the screen, very little clutter, but you may want to be able to add other programs to the screen. So simply by going, tapping on this toggle, what you can do is you can say, I'd like to have Dropbox appear there. So I'm pressing and holding, and I'm dragging it on the screen. I can go back and choose another one. So I'm going to choose, let's say, for example, Geekbench, drop it there. And I can continue to drop different applications on here. Now, the challenge that I run into is, well, wow, there's a lot of stuff here, and I'd like to be able to group them together. And you may be trying to do one of these things. You notice that I'm trying to put the programs on top of each other to create a folder. Well, if you look at the very top, you'll notice that at the top here, there's a folder function. Not only is there a folder function, but you can also remove it from the screen, which means the icon disappears, but not the program, or you could go to uninstall it. But I want to create a folder. So by creating a folder, now I have a folder that contains Dropbox. If I grab this icon here, I can now drop it on top of it. So in essence, what I've done is I've created a folder to organize my content. The entire screen is pretty configurable. You could switch, move this guy that I have right here, the entire group, to this area, and it will switch them out so that you can organize it to fit your specific needs. Now, while I showed you how to create a group and how to configure things, one of the things that you notice is that the bottom area is pretty set. So you have your phone, your chat capability, internet, and phone. But let's say, for example, you like Chrome as your standard browser and you'd like to switch it. Or I want to put these group of things here. All you do is press and hold, drag on top the one that you want to remove, press and hold again, bring it to the bottom, and now I've switched what applications I have here, and I can go into it rather quickly. Now, once you have some groups, another thing that you may want to do is change things that are in the group. So you can press and hold and then remove it. And once you remove it out, the group disappears. So there's no real deleting a group. You just take the programs out, and as you take them out, as soon as you get to one program, the group turns into an individual. So if you want to have a group back, you'd have to go press and hold, go up here to the folder, and then create that folder again. Now, the other neat feature that you have here, now this is my app tray, so I'll just go back so you can see that. I'm going to go into my app tray. I have all my apps listed here on the screen. If I press and hold on any program, I have the ability to uninstall it, or I have the ability to drop it. So if you want to uninstall something really quick, you don't have to go into application settings to do it. All you have to do is press and hold and then drop it into the uninstall area. I have two icons that do the same thing, so all I'm going to do is just remove, and that's how easy it is. Now, the last feature I'm going to show you is how do you access Google Now. By just pressing the home button here, you basically get Google Now. And with Google Now, you have the ability to just ask Google things. You can ask for directions. You can ask for the weather. There's a series of things that you can do. Use it. It's very flexible, very convenient, and it also can be used to dial and call people. So you can tell it, call someone that's on your contact list, and it will do it for you as well. Now, one other tip I wanted to show you is you can personalize your experience when navigating around on the screens as you see me swiping from left to right. So I'm going to press and hold here, and I'm going to choose effects. With the effects, you can change what the experience is like. So you see how it's switching? Let me do it this way, and then you can choose rotate. Right? So you can choose any one of these to give the kind of effect that you want. You also have the ability to change your themes, which we showed you under system settings, widgets, which we already talked about. And if we go back there for a second, you also have the ability to choose wallpapers and add wallpapers that are photos that you've taken. Now let's look at some of the features that are available with the camera. So we'll get a little bit closer here. First, we'll talk about what's going on in this area. You do have the ability to change the size of your photo with the different resolution, more pixels, less pixels. It all really depends on what you plan on using them. I typically stay with the higher resolution so I can have more flexibility. You have the ability to enable voice capture, have a watermark, a shutter tone, which means that you'll hear that when you take the picture. You have geotagging so that you can see the location that you're in, and it comes in useful when you're using like a Google Photos, because it can show you where you've been when you took the photos. You can use this to take the photo with your volume key, and then you can also choose where your photos are going to be with the location. So we'll get out of that. You do have different flash settings: automatic, manual, and none. And then you have this, which is always going to be on. You have a timer setting. You also then have the ability to switch your cameras, front facing or back facing. On the bottom here, you have your video function. You also then have your photo function, or you can go into manual mode, which is going to give you the ability to really configure everything. You notice that one of the things I like about ZTE's implementation is that there are a lot of tutorials on how to use the program. So it gives you step by step of what you want to configure. If you are a photographer or someone who likes to play with different settings, definitely this is a good option for you. If you're someone like me that just likes the automatic, then go into the automatic mode. Now, what do things look like? And one other thing I want to show you here is that you do have some really cool themes where you can create some special effects for night shots, for day shots, panorama mode, slow motion mode. So again, I would definitely experiment with the phone and the camera a lot. Here's some of the photos that I've taken. And let me zoom in a little bit so you can see that. So this is a black and white photo that I took using one of the filters, which I'll show you. Here is a color version. You can see how nice and crisp that is. I'll switch here. Here's another side view of that same item. Nice, very crisp. And then here you have yet again another photo. Another photo of a different plant. To give you a sense of just the detail. And if I go back a couple seconds, let's go into this one right here. Let's see, this one right here. If you want to see what kind of detail you can get, this is where you can see that power of those megapixels. Look how much detail is being captured. This is in itself a unique photo. So I've taken one photo, so this is one photo, and if you're into creating montages, you can just zoom in and then this would be another photo in itself. Look how interesting that looks now. So I'd invite you to experiment because there's a lot of features here. One other feature that I'll highlight is the ability to use different filters. That's going to give you the ability to see different things when you're taking a photo. So I'm going to put my finger in the photo here, or the lens area, and you can see that you can see what it will look like before I take the photo. So no guesswork. You immediately see what the end result will be, and it gives you a lot of flexibility to be very creative when it comes to photo taking. So this concludes my tips and tricks video, things that you should consider when receiving your Axon 7. If you have any comments or questions about this review and the tips and tricks, please leave it in the comment area. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And as always, don't forget to share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.